Welcome to Tattoo Tabletop. My name is James, and today we are talking about expectation versus reality as it pertains to your hobby and or well, I mean, it includes hobby Warhammer, take it how you will. The reason I wanted to talk about this is about a week from now, I'm going to be getting ready to go to the Dallas Open. That is the Games Workshop event down in Dallas. That's actually going to have a live show reveal, which is going to be great. I'm really stoked to see the reveal show. See what they announced. It sounds like they're going to be talking about the launch box for Age of Sigmar 4th edition, which will be fun. They're going to have the new rules there, the Spearhead event. It's going to be great. But what does that have to do with the video today? Well, what that has to do with the video today is the fact that I'm going and I'm competing in the Age of Sigmar Grand Tournament. And as we know from previous videos, my goal is to win a golden ticket. Now, has that changed? Yeah, it's changed. Admittedly, I can't be too mad at myself, and this is going to be part of the explanation that we're going to go through later. But realistically, I'm going to play my best. I am bringing my Seraphon, which I think are one of my nicer painted models, in an attempt and a hope to get into the paint parade. Um, and the goal is going to try for best overall. This is also the first Age of Sigmar tournament that I'm going to be playing that does 8 rounds instead of the usual 5. We got an additional 3, so it's going to be 3 games, and then 2 games on Sunday. So we'll be playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be nuts. Hopefully, we have enough space and that sound isn't so bad so that we can, I can communicate with my opponent. The last one I went to, the Tampa Open, was beautiful. I had space to put my stuff down. Me and my opponent didn't have to yell to let the person know about our rules or anything like that. So, like, my throat didn't get burned out. 10 out of 10, would do again. Hopefully, that's going to be the case for the Dallas Open. Now, expectation versus reality. As we mentioned, my goal is to win a golden ticket. However, there's a certain moment where you have to kind of be honest with yourself. Admittedly, number one, I just haven't played the games. I haven't played the amount of games that I probably needed to do successfully in my games, because obviously, in order to win best overall, you have to win a good chunk of your games as well as make it into the paint parade. So if I do make it into the paint parade, there's still a chance, but as far as it goes, trying to get into to win the best overall, to win the golden ticket, I gotta be on my game, and I gotta be honest, I haven't gotten my games in. And I think this is the first important part of expectation versus reality. Understand where you stand. Now, what I mean by that is particularly you need to be in a constant state of assessment when it comes to your goals. It's not just oh, here's my goal for the entire year, and then you don't check in on yourself, you don't keep status reports on yourself the whole time. It's important for you to actually do so, to do those updates, to do those follow throughs, and to really figure out where you stand as you're moving through towards your goal. If your goal is to win a grand tournament, it's important for you to go to RTTs, the little 1 day, 3 game events, and play them, and then assess your gameplay after and be like, okay, where do I stand on my, in my goal to winning the GT? All right, well, I went 1 and 2. So I won 1, lost 2. All right, what was my pairing in that one that I won? What armies did I pair into that I lost to? Again, understanding where you stand is a very important part of that process. And that's where I've assessed myself. I'm going to go and give it my best. I'm going to do the best I can, but I also understand, having assessed up until this point, that I'm in a vastly different place, and I may or may not have gotten the amount of practice in that I should. That being said, over this next week, I'm going to try and get some games in. I'm going to try and get some practice in. But of course, I'm also going to spend some time here at the painting desk trying to make sure that I also make my models look good, because that's also equally important to me. If you're enjoying this content and you want to keep seeing more, be sure to like, share, and subscribe down and comment down below. I really appreciate it. Really helps keep things going, so thank you. And now back to the video. Number 2, making sure that your original goal, and this is more of a preface for the original setup, that when you're getting ready to set the goal, making sure that you're setting it in a valley of realism. There could be someone that could be setting the goal this year that I am going to win Golden Demon or win a Golden Demon. Now, that is an awesome goal. I think that is a very cool one to follow up on, especially someone like myself. I painted so much back up and down, left and right here, but you have to really assess what that takes. Because when you're someone, maybe you're painting 5 hours a week, let's say. So 5 hours a week, five times 52, you're getting in about 200 plus hours. And that's operating on the basis that you're working on the same thing during that entire time. Because if you ask a lot of people who have won Golden Demons or who have participated in Golden Demon, they have put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into their one piece, whether it was diorama, whether it was dual, sci-fi mini, sci-fi single, whatever. So there's a certain thought process that needs to occur where you look at your goal and you assess a sense of realism for it. Is my goal of trying to win a golden ticket really the most realistic? It's up in the air. There's opportunities, there's places, there's a lot, and there's ways to increase that. Obviously, a way that I could win a golden ticket is by going to more events that do offer golden tickets. There's a lot of them. I personally have been kind of targeting the Games Workshop ones because they come with certain benefits, and also because I personally have really enjoyed the Games Workshop events. So that's why I picked those. However, there's Bug Eater, there's Flying Monkey, there's a ton of conventions and a ton of war game tournaments out there that do offer up golden tickets. You do have to kind of specify whether it's for the person who wins the entire tournament, or if it's the person who gets best overall, or if it's both. And that's going to be a very important step. But there's ways for me to increase the opportunity at which I could potentially win a golden ticket along with repetition, and that is very important as well. But when it comes to Golden Demon happens once here in the United States, and it happens at Adepticon. Adepticon just came and went not that long ago. There was a lot of really cool entries that won. And so from that time, you have a year. Depending on when you set that goal, let's say you set that goal in November or December of later this year for next year. That gives you 3 or 4 months to put out a Golden Demon level paint job. Now, it might be possible for you, depending on where you're at. Everybody's at a different place. Again, painting is a skill expression, and you could have a very high skill expression. But there is a certain aspect of that you might want to assess. It's not a negativity thing. I actually encourage anyone who sets these goals to go after them, to commit to them, but do understand the sacrifice and the time that it takes. It's very important to realize that there's a lot of people that talk about these dreams that they've achieved or these goals that they've achieved, but they don't talk about the sacrifices that they made. They don't talk about the time lost, the events missed, things of that nature. So again, it's not a negativity thing, it's an encouragement thing. Like, go after it, do what you can, like pursue your dream, and pursue your goal, but be very mentally conscious of the cost that it comes with. So that's why number 2 is assessing that expectation and that reality of your goal. And last but not least, number 3, the one I think is probably the most important. Be mentally prepared for what comes next. Now, that reflects on both halves of the equation. Whether you achieve your goal or whether you don't achieve your goal, I think it is important to be mentally prepared for what is going to happen or what does happen. You could win, it could be really huge, it could be a big moment for you. But a good example for even someone such as myself is when I won some of my speed paint competitions, early speed paint competitions. They were just kind of small local events, but I had won, and then I had tied first place for the second one and tied, first place for the third one. And I remember people talking about, oh man, like, this is the speed paint king. It's him. It's James, the guy who wins all these. And I remember feeling the pressure from that. And I remember kind of having to reassess my own ego, my own mental process for all of that, because I never wanted to brag about it. I never wanted to be, overly proud about it, because the truth of the matter is I'm one of those people who believes in humility. I think humility is very, very important. I think it's important to making sure that you stay grounded, because there's always going to be someone who will be better at you than something, and it is important to acknowledge that and to accept that. Even if maybe it's not right now, maybe you are the just tippity top of whatever it is that you think you are the tippity top of, but there will come a person who will eventually be better about it. So that was one aspect of even winning. In a positive light, I had won the speed paint competition. I had tied for first in multiple other ones after that. But it was finding a way to be mentally prepared for when it did happen, for when I did lose, and the expectation that I had set for myself and the expectation that others had set for me as well through that. Obviously, none of them, a lot of them were just, joking, giving me grief about it and stuff like that. But it was something that I had to contend with. And of course, like I just mentioned 2 seconds ago, you also have to be mentally prepared for not being that goal. I have spent a decent amount of time recently assessing myself and kind of mentally preparing myself for getting down to Dallas, getting my army set up, finishing the basing, making them look as nice as I can in the time that I have remaining, and not making the paint parade. I am mentally prepared for that. I ran into it in Tampa. I thought my army really stood out, and I got some feedback. I actually asked for feedback from the judges. Very important step if you're looking to progress yourself in that sort of direction. Critical feedback is always good, especially when it's given in the spirit of feedback. And but I had to go back and when I looked at my army after, the one that I really thought was going to make a paint parade, it didn't. Now, did it take away from the event? No. I ended up having a blast. I won my first 2 games. I was riding high, and then I got beat by King Broad Stomp, which was the third matchup, which was actually the person who got second place for the entire tournament, so I can't be too bad. And then I lost my first game the second day, and so I had ended, but I won my last game, and my last game was a blast. Loved my player. He's from the Warpfire community down in Florida. That dude was sweet. We had Gloomspike versus Inet Deepkin, and it was a blast. It didn't take away from the event. So when you do kind of mentally prepare yourself for goals like these in a sort of performative way, whether it's a painting competition, whether it's a gaming competition or something like that, I think it is important to be mentally prepared and mentally strong for what comes, whether that's the winning or whether that is unfortunately the losing. These are both very important aspects, not just in the hobby period, but in real life, whether these are real goals that you have in your career, in your relationships, in just about anything. These are all good tips to have going forward, and it's something that I think that everyone can benefit from. Feel free to see more. I can't wait to cover more. I'm going to definitely cover the event once I get back from Dallas. I've got a couple others in the works, including a series where I'm going to help people who aren't familiar with Warhammer find their faction. I've got a couple of guests that are very near and dear to me that I'm very excited to do this with, so I'll be filming those very soon and getting those out to you. I hope you enjoyed the series, but be sure to like, share, and subscribe to see that in the future. But of course, the most important part is that I have been Tattoo Tabletop. You've been the viewer. Now go paint something.